Ooh. Hello, welcome back. This is our day 2 of the afternoon session of the 11th Philippine SME Business Expo. Well, for those who just joined in, by the way, I'm again Grace de Mapilis Garcera from the Salt and Light Circle Talents community and a proud member of the Laguna Events Association of Professionals. Well, kamustahin ko muna po kayo bago po tayo magpatuloy. Let me just check on everybody. You had lunch na ba? Everyone had fun during the break? I do hope you're all ready, fueled up, all ears, all eyes, as we are about to hear more exciting afternoon topics. Well, for our first topic this afternoon, just to give you a heads up, let's talk about something that you and me like for sure. And you know what that is? Payments. The talk aims to share what Spenmo is and how it provides a magical payable experience through its products and services. Intriguing name, Spenmo. And that, of course, transform this magical payable experience through its products and services to businesses and finance teams. Now let us welcome the COO of Spenmo, a software company offering a seamless accounts payable experience for small and medium-sized businesses. He has nearly 2 decades of experience as an international leader and prominent organizations like Facebook and Uber. A former United States diplomat, and he managed public policy for Facebook in APAC and Latin America. At Uber, he launched 100 plus cities across Brazil and was the general manager of one of Uber's largest and most profitable business units. He subsequently launched and headed Uber's e-mobility business and across Latin America. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Rudy Wong.
Hey everybody, this is Rudy. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Spenmo. We're a B2B payments platform that helps you save time and money and also gain better control and visibility over your business expenses. And I wanted to start off just with a quick introduction to myself first. So before I joined Spenmo, I have quite a few years in tech. So I was at Uber previously, where I first launched Uber in Brazil and ran the business in Brazil, and then subsequently ran all of Uber's new business lines throughout Latin America. Prior to that, I was at Facebook. I managed public policy for Facebook throughout Latin America and Asia Pacific, and specifically with the government of Philippines. I actually worked on a project with them in using Facebook to enable more access to basic services online using Facebook. And previous to a career in tech, actually, I was a United States diplomat. And so I spent 10 years throughout Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And so, as you can imagine, that was a very, very different experience. And in fact, the transition that I had from being a US government bureaucrat to working in the private sector was like a huge revelation to me. So at government is very slow and very centralized, right? So if you ran your SME like a government, you would go out of business because, you would just be too slow and too inefficient. And I really saw like the stark change when I moved from the US government to Facebook. And I saw this especially in the expense policies that employees used. So in the United States government, this is at one extreme end of the spectrum, the expense policy that governs whether you can, pay for a particular hotel or buy a particular flight. The expense policies are hundreds of pages long. So it's so long that there are entire people whose only specialty is to know where to find a particular expense policy and whether you can spend that money in the United States government, because there are so many rules there, right? And so obviously, when I was at Facebook, that wasn't going to work. Facebook, when I joined it, was full of like really young people in their 20s. These people would not read anything that is longer than a tweet or longer than a status update. And so they definitely weren't going to read like a 40-page expense policy. So the Facebook expense policy was only 2 pages long, or not even 2 pages. And it basically said, hey, you know, don't be a jerk, don't waste our money, right? And basically, we're going to trust you, don't waste our money. Now, I think that worked for Facebook because in part, you know, Facebook was awash in money at the time. But if you try to run your business like Facebook, you might still go out of business, right? Because the reality is that you need to have some controls over your spending. Otherwise, your spending gets out of control and you can no longer be profitable. And so that can be very damaging to your business. And so most businesses lie somewhere between these two different extremes, right? So trying to balance speed and efficiency on the one hand with control and security on the other hand. And so what we thought of at Spenmo is, what if you could use technology to combine these two things so that you didn't have to choose between them anymore? What if you could embed controls in the transactions themselves so that nobody in your company needs to read a 40-page expense policy, because that policy already lives in context and that the policy arises at the time that you are trying to make a transaction, trying to make a purchase. So this is all very abstract, but I'll give you two very concrete examples. So let's say in your company, you have a marketing manager. You want them to buy Facebook ads, but you don't want them to spend any more than 10,000 pesos, and you don't want to give them money that they end up spending on something else. So if you get a smart virtual card, and this is technology that we have produced and offer within our platform, if you get a smart virtual card, you can lock that card to Facebook so that it won't work with, for example, Lazada, if your employee tries to buy something there. And you can set a limit for exactly 10,000 pesos so that you never go over budget. Now, let's say your marketing manager says, hey, I want to do a special campaign this month. And it's going to cost an extra 5,000 pesos. You now don't have to go and like withdraw this money or, do an extra special authorization. All your employee has to do is send a request through our app, and you can instantly in real time get a push notification and increase her limit from 10,000 pesos to 15,000 pesos, right? And it's that easy. So you get the control, but you get the speed and efficiency at the same time. Another example, right? So you're trying to buy supplies from your supplier in Singapore, right? And your finance team, so your supplier in Singapore issues you an invoice, and your finance team now has to take this invoice, that's either a paper invoice or a PDF, and they have to transcribe all this information, type it in manually into your accounting books, and then they have to then log into your bank portal, probably ask you for the OTP to be able to log in. Then they have to make the payment, you have to authorize the payment, and then they have to reconcile the payment with your accounting ledger. All this entire process, so we actually counted this entire process takes more than 200 clicks and keystrokes. And that is a complete waste of human time and potential, right? And even worse, not only are you wasting time, but you're wasting money as well, because it's really expensive. When your bank makes a foreign transaction, they charge a big FX markup, and this is one of the main ways that your bank makes money off of you. So on the other hand, if you pay an invoice using Spenmo, our technology extracts all the data automatically. It's as easy as just sending an email, and you can set up approval workflows, and you can monitor all of your spend in payments of invoices, as well as all smart card spends and things like that in a single dashboard. So you have full control and full visibility of everything that everybody is spending. And all of this is 80% cheaper than using your bank, because we offer the most competitive foreign exchange rates that you can find. So what this means is that with technology now, you don't have to choose anymore between speed and efficiency on the one hand, and then control and visibility on the other hand. You can actually have both wedded together. And that's really our mission. I think we see ourselves as being able to create new tools that give you back time, give you back savings, and then give you control and visibility so that you can feel secure and be able to focus on just building your business. And so that's pretty much the promise that we are trying to bring to thousands of SMEs throughout the Philippines, starting with yours. And so please do reach out to me and to my team, and hope you will be interested in finding out more about us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've heard it from Mr. Rudy Wong. And now, to join us this afternoon for more Q&A later, also from Spenmo team, is a passionate professional with experience working with tech companies and high focus on growth. He is actively initiating different efforts in building impact in the developer ecosystem in the Philippines and the Southeast Asian region. His expertise on tech and business development, growth, hacking, and data analysis allows him to leverage his skills to support more businesses. Previously connected with Google, as he was a part of the developer relations team, and now he's the head of partnership for Spenmo, pushing magical payable experience for SMEs and startups in the Philippines. Please welcome to join us this afternoon, Mr. Shad Roy de la Cruz. Good afternoon, Mr. Shad.
Thank you so much. It's really awesome to be here, and of course, representing the team of Spenmo. We're a spend management platform helping a lot of businesses in getting and building the magical experience for them as well. One of the things that we find and learn about SMEs is, in how you can actually save time and save money in a lot of the fees and cost when, doing and paying other businesses as well, such as suppliers, merchants, and vendors. And I think our solution can be really of great help for SMEs as they build their business as well. So let me deep dive a little bit on about Spenmo here. And over the last couple of years, we started in 2019 in Singapore, and last year we expanded in the Philippines. And over the last 2 years since we launched, we have processed more than 15 billion and been trusted by a lot of major businesses. Some of the popular brands as well, companies, startups that are based in Singapore and Southeast Asia region, and a lot of other SMEs as well. And these are some of the things that we're really helping out and focusing for them as well. One of the things that we learned is SMB spends an average of more than 75 hours per month in terms of managing their payables. That means, you use different tools, your bank's account, nowadays a lot more people are using wallets, such as, GCash, Paymaya, and such, and as well as other tools. Nowadays there are a lot of other tools, but at the same time, consolidating those expenses is one of the hardest factor in terms of managing their expense. Some of the pain points that the current payment process has is, again, the time spent on handling different spreadsheets, on manual tracking their payments, and at the same time consolidating the records. Where's the receipt, right? I think most of the businesses here will have the same experiences, challenges as well, when one of your team members or staff are working and making sure that all expenses are tracked. And at the same time, one of the struggle is the high cost of transfer fees. These are very common when you're transferring from one bank to another bank, and at the same time when transferring money from the Philippines and probably some of your suppliers abroad. I think Rudy was able to share a little bit more about that concern as well. And of course, the maintaining of the hard copies of receipts and a lot of other invoices and documents that the company needs to make sure of. Especially now, this is a tax season. A lot of our accountants are working hard on consolidating that and reconciling the records. And of course, credit cards. When credit cards are, when you have expenses, nowadays there are more and more usage of online purchases when, you need certain payment methods for you to pay such online services or products that you buy through online e-commerce sites as well. And these are some of the things that we discover and learn from the Philippines. When you're doing and sending out funds locally and overseas, banks are still preferred. When, of course, doing cash reimbursement, to your employees, there are a lot of ways, pretty much manual. This is one of the things that we see very, very manual. And of course, Western Union is still the most preferred in terms of overseas payments. There are newer technologies for sure that are, are available now. But of course, Filipinos still prefer the Western Union way. And all in all, there are now newer cloud accounting softwares such as Xero, QuickBooks, Sprout. But one of the things that we learn as well is that in the Philippines, Microsoft Excel is still the number one in terms of managing their expense and payment records. And with this, Spenmo wants to simplify the process. And that means we want to really focus on making a centralized system, a tool that would help them keep track of their finance. That means anything that goes out of the company in terms of disbursement, you can use Spenmo for that. And at the same time, we also have a solution called the smart cards, basically a way for you to provide and access in terms of business payments for your employees as well. And then at the same time, a strong integration to a lot of the softwares and accounting software that are available as well. Let's dive into this. And, as Rudy has mentioned earlier about our automated payments, one of the things that we are really excited about this is the ability for businesses to use Spenmo and then at the same time keep track of all the expense and payments that goes out of your business. Most of the time we see in the businesses as well, we see a very long process when paying a supplier or another business. Commonly we see people doing the checks, or we also see some people still, a lot of businesses still using over-the-counter payments. And then some are actually doing the manual mobile transfers one by one, sending it as well. And imagine if you have 10, 20, 30, 100 payments every month that you need to do it. Preparing it takes time, and over the cost of it is also increasing. So with Spendmo, we basically reduce 80% of that workload into 2 steps. All you have to do whenever you have received your invoice or your statement of account or billing statement, send it right away to Spenmo, and then we'll input it basically back to your dashboard. And all you have to do is to approve. Another way you can do it is through uploading it directly on our dashboard. And you can also see and simulate some of the Forex exchange if you're sending money abroad. And at the same time, you will have the ability to create approval process, a workflow where one of your staff is make sure that the request or this specific payment is correct. And of course, by pressing approve, as long as you have the funds in your Spendmo account, the money will start sending, and you can track it real time on our dashboard. And one of the best things about Spendmo is actually our low, rate in terms of transaction. Among other banks in the Philippines, we per transaction, we only charge a flat rate of 5 pesos, whatever the amount is. And I think this is a lot easier for businesses to manage in terms of, or sending out, especially when they're doing bulk transactions as well. For our international transaction as well, we have a very flat rate, good rate as well. Like it's a flat rate of 200 pesos when sending out abroad. Think about when sending $1,000 in Singapore, we'll only charge you a 200 pesos flat rate. And then at the same time, we use the Google mid-market rate. That means anything that you search on Google is actually the same rate that you'll see, when you transfer. And basically this is like the very, very focus that we have on the automated. And the best part about this is that everything is tracked and you can see it directly on the platform. I just want to share as well our, one of the new things that we have here in the Philippines is also the smart card. Basically the ability for you to use the card. Let's say you have a gas spending that your team has to keep track of. Instead of paying cash, you can actually use a smart card. this is a MasterCard, you can easily tap it on different terminals as long as this is a business expense. So, you go to a restaurant for a business meeting, and instead of paying your own money for, reimbursement later, you can use a Spenmo card. And then the best part is it's tracked in our system and in the dashboard as well. So your team can have more visibility. And the best part about this is that you have the smart features such as merchant lock, where you can set a very specific merchant. Let's say, for example, this card will only work for Shopee or Lazada, but it will not work for other than that. Let's say you use a card for gasoline station, which you can also use for that. So these are some of the tools that we are also working on. And of course, the best part is the cash reimbursement feature, where you have the ability to take a snap and then request, reimbursement directly on the Spenmo platform as well, and make it a lot easier for businesses to make use of our solution. And as we have shared earlier, Spenmo is truly building a magical experiences for a lot of businesses using our solution when tracking your expense. And this is really one of the things that we want to see more businesses to experience, and using our automated payments as well as the smart cards. So thank you so much for having me today.
Yay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you, Grace.
So Shad, it's good to know. Good to know that we now have Spenmo, simplifying finance tasks for our SMEs. Wow, this is really very helpful, so convenient. And just to check if I heard it right, 80% of the work will be done by Spenmo na. Naku, for small business owners, this is a big deal. Handling all those paperwork, it's so much work for all of us. But with Spenmo, this is really convenient. Oh, by the way, Mr. Shad, nako, super excited ang mga tao listening to you earlier. They just kept sending their questions. I actually have one question here for you.
Awesome.
This one from Miss Thea Altares. She's asking, is there a maximum amount of funds allowable on a daily basis? May limit ba, daily limit for certain transactions?
This is a really good question. The answer is no. So whatever the amount is, you can actually send it, through Spenmo, and we will only charge you a flat rate. That means if either you send, 100 pesos or 100,000 pesos, we'll only charge you 5 pesos for local, and then 200 pesos for international transaction. And so there's no limit to that. And of course, one of the things that we said is that, of course, on a daily, you just have to make sure that you send this transaction on before 5 p.m. And then we will send it same day as well. So yeah.
Wow, did I hear that right? 5 peso per transaction? Oh my goodness, if I remember it right, per bank transaction is like 10 to 15 pesos per activity,
Correct.
right? But with Spenmo, half the price. Oh, that's exciting. Thank you so much, Spenmo. And we now have another question, this time from Mr. Gilbert Putao. He's asking, can Spenmo give a slightly assurance aid among SMEs, members of SMEs and other entrepreneur businesses in the provinces, like the regions in the Cordillera achieved its goal setting, and what is the idealistic approach in engagement on customers, local or foreign?
Yeah, this is quite a very interesting question. I would say our support in SMEs really having the ability to spend track, right? I think that's where we want to be really good at, like having opportunity for businesses to know where does your money go? Because, I think a lot of ways get lost in the data, and having the ability to see for yourself by using the tools that we have makes it a lot streamlined. But I think supporting a lot of other businesses as well. Just to share with you, we're also launching some of the offerings that we have in Spenmo, such as later on that we are working on right now is credit. That means we want to also provide credits for SMEs and businesses alike. Having to help them more in their businesses as well. Having access to a certain credit is really enables a lot of businesses as well.
Thank you, Sir Chad. Here's another question. The chat box is hot, hot, hot. More questions for you. This time from Melissa Natasha Krista Bondok. How can Spenmo help SMEs achieve our goals of engagement among customers?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can Spenmo?
Yeah, so I think one of the things, just to correct, I would say, in terms of identifying Spenmo, we're really focused into the business to business transaction. That means it's more into your suppliers, more into the paying your bills automatically or automagically, right? Using Spenmo. And I think when you use Spenmo, it's allowing you to have more streamlined system in this transaction. And in terms of your customers, I would say, I think if it's an account receivable, we have a lot of friends in the fintech industry are really working hard to really provide these experiences as well. So I think that's a little bit of the difference. But really on enabling more of your B2B transactions and streamlining it as well using our solutions.
Yes. And perhaps in layman's term, Sir Chad, kapag mabilis mapaikot ang puhunan, syempre mabilis din na ating assistance sa ating mga customers. Thank you so much. This time, we will move on. We still have time. Yeah, perhaps we can accommodate one last question before we move on to the next presenter. Okay, let's get this question from Jethro Cullen Sia. Jethro Colin Sia asked how to apply for Spenmo. Ito may nag-a-apply na.
Wow, very good. Great question, Jet. So I think first you can visit our PHILSME exhibit booth right now, the virtual booth, and then just engage with some of our team members there. I think that's one of the best way that you can connect with us today. For those naman who want to have more of one-to-one, you can visit our website at spenmo.ph. We can connect you through that as well, and then our team will be connected with you there as well. And the process is simple. Of course, you go through a product demonstration, and at the same time, you will have to submit some of your onboarding documents, since this is a little bit of the compliance that we need to process, and then your account will be created right away. And of course, just want to plug as well, Grace. Now we have actually a 2 p.m. session later. So I would love to invite everyone to please join our demo and product presentation as well, 2 p.m. It's a meetup here on PhilSME. So, yeah.
Yay! Thank you very much. Don't miss that. That's 2 p.m. later in their booth. Check it out. Maraming salamat for your time and sharing more information about Spendmo. Maraming salamat. You've heard it from Mr. Shad Roy de la Cruz, Head of Partnerships for Spendmo, pushing magical payment experience for SMEs and startups in the Philippines. And we'll be back to our next speaker in a bit.